Welcome to City Live. First up today is David Tillman. He's an author now with this great book called Hammer That Mortgage. Welcome, David.
Hello, Joe.
So why this book? There's a dearth of good books about how to knock hundreds off your, thousands of dollars off your mortgage. Why did you write this book?
You're right, there's some very good books out there about mortgages, but I've come at it from a slightly different approach. I've tried to take a more holistic, big picture look at mortgages. So rather than just concentrating on saving a couple of $1,000s here with lower interest rates and fiddling around with little bits and pieces, I've tried to look at how can you save 10, 20, 30, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so the book's more holistic. It's looking at the big picture.
And who should read this book?
I think anybody with a mortgage and anybody contemplating a mortgage should read it. So it was written for people initially that had mortgages, and a lot of the feedback I'm getting now is from people also looking to get into the market, because there's some very good ideas on just going right back to the house buying process as well.
Do you think that, that there's enough good advice, especially for our young people when they go to take a mortgage, or they just seem to walk into a bank and whoever's got the offer? Is there enough advice out there for people when they go to do a mortgage?
I guess the system is just designed to sell mortgages. People in banks and that are not being mean, they're just not paid or not structured to actually sit down and say, here's your mortgage, these are the terms, now let's have a look at the big picture and say, what can you do to get rid of it? So I think there is a gap in the market that needs to be filled with somebody, just a bit of education.
Because if we look at what's happening in Christchurch at the moment, people are either restructuring their mortgages or trying to look at their best options. What sort of advice have you got to people like that?
What sort of advice? If they're restructuring the mortgage, actually, before you restructured the mortgage, I would strongly recommend having a look at the book, yes, because there's a lot of simple, easy to understand advice in there. And
yeah, I was looking at paying it off earlier. It just makes common sense, but also it makes it a little bit harder on the pocket. So obviously you've got formulas in here to work that out. I've
got some good ideas in there. Yeah, you're right. It is a little bit harder on the pocket, but the rewards are just huge. I mean, your whole life, your lifestyle, everything changes once the mortgage is gone. So
what's your best advice? What do you think is your best advice in this book?
I think there's one idea in there it's called the bulletproof mortgage, and it's take a little bit too long to explain here, but the underlying benefit of it is that you get away from the dangers of rising interest rates. So we tackle the interest rate problems, and it's designed to take 12 years off the mortgage, and save somewhere between $150,000 and $220,000 in interest. So it's a great idea. It's called the bulletproof mortgage. Because
there was a time there where everyone was doing that revolving line of credit. How dangerous was that? Because people never seemed to be paying off their mortgages. They took $100,000 and then it was always at $100,000. I mean, is that a dangerous way to tackle your mortgage?
In the wrong hands, a revolving line of credit can be a disaster. I mean, some people are really suited to it. Some people love playing with numbers, and they sit there and they check balance sheets and they do budgets, and it can work for them. But if you're not a very disciplined person, you're right, Joe. I've seen a lot of people make no progress at all with a revolving line of credit. So
how's the book going?
It's going great.
Yes?
We obviously got some very good publicity last Monday in the press and the Dominion and stuff.co. And from there, we've had some really good orders and repeat orders from parents and grandparents buying copies of the books for younger people.
I suggest you get this book. It's a really good read.